Somewhere around Barstow when the drugs begin to take hold.
You're either in or you're out. Right now.
I want to gamble.
I never want to hear those words out of your mouth again.
Gambling is not your problem.
Has anybody ever told you before your bad luck?
Most gamblers, when they go to gamble, they go to win.
Those were my mother's dying words.
When we go to gamble, we go to lose. Show me the money.
Let's get out of here, man.
Show you the money.
Honestly, let's just go. Let's go to Vegas.
Look at you better than that, Jerry. I want you to say what you would mean, brother. Show me the money!
It's the Sports Memery Vegas pregame show.
Good morning, gentlemen, and good morning to all of you. If you guys struggled like me in week one, week two is a chance to turn it all around. Before we get into the slate of games, JC, Marcus, how'd you guys fare in week one?
All in all, it was a pretty successful week. Fuck you Bengals and fuck you Vikings. That was the biggest L I took. I guess the spread went 13-3 on our fun little show. Derek and I both went 4-1, and we're going to be taking it to you guys.
Yeah, if you guys followed us, you did well. More Marcus and Derek. Let's just talk about the sunglasses in the room. No, I'm not hungover. JC, instead of taking my money, made a gentleman's bet that if Cincinnati beat Indiana, I'd have to wear sunglasses. So that just stayed in the tradition of me struggling a little bit, but luckily we have JC, Marcus, and Derek on to make you guys some money. So before we get into the slate of the games, anything from you two? Are we ready to rock and roll?
We're ready to rock and roll.
You got ahead of that sunglasses. I was going to thank you for getting laser eye surgery and hoping that your wife moved some furniture around before the games while we were on the pod. But...
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So let's start with a AFC East battle. Buffalo, Miami. Spread is currently 3.5, over under 48. Marcus, or 47.5. That line is coming down. Marcus, where do you see this game?
Yeah, now, real quick, a lot of the lines have been moving. Obviously, we put this stuff up early. There's some big changes, not necessarily in this game, but Dolphins are 3.5-point dogs. I think I'm going to be one of the few in America that actually likes Miami to win this game. Kind of remind me in a weird way of like the Patriots. Nothing like too crazy, not going to kill you over the top, like just not going to own you in any facet of the game. Very opportunistic. And they also have a head coach who just keeps getting snubbed for coach of the year. Brian Flores is going to get back into hopefully into the conversation here with the upset, but I do like the Dolphins to cover.
Got it. And what about the over-under?
I'm liking the under. I know everyone's expecting a lot of points from Josh Allen. I think I like the under a little bit more than 3.5, but I'm a sucker for the hook, and I like probably like a 21-20 game.
Got it. Yeah, Buffalo showed no reason to be confident in that offense, and Tua is starting to figure out that he ain't it. JC, who do you have as some players in this game to watch out for?
I know you have the prop bet for Devontae Parker over 3.5 receptions, which I like. I think there's just not that as many mouths to feed in Miami. I do think Buffalo wins this game, and I think their offense is going to run a little bit. It'll be kind of close, but they're going to have to throw the ball a lot in Miami. They've been throwing the ball deep. Tua's average depth of target's been a lot higher this year than it was last year. But kind of stick with the studs in this one. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, I think they'll be just fine. And then Cole Beasley's a pretty good PPR option in just regular fantasy leagues.
Yeah, Cole Beasley's a nice sleeper. Kind of always seems to sneak in a decent day here and there. But you did mention one of the props out of maybe almost all of them. I like this one the most. I can't believe Devontae Parker's line's only set at 3.5 receptions. He had 7 targets last week, and you have still no Will Fuller. So I really like Devontae Parker. And then the Dolphins gave up a modest 125 yards on the ground last week to New England, and the Bills' rushing offense is pretty much just Josh Allen. So I like Josh Allen over 31.5 yards. He ran the ball 9 times. If he's around that again, all he really has to average is about a little over 3 yards a carry, which I think is definitely definitely possible considering his running is a part of the offense. So Marcus has Miami, Derek has Buffalo, I have Buffalo, JC has Buffalo. Let's see if Marcus can steal a game here in our pick'em. Anything else on this game?
No, let's get to the best games of the week.
There we go. Rams at Colts. Colts needing a bounce back game. I personally don't see it, and also none of us do. We all have the Rams taking this. Marcus, walk us through this game.
Guys, there's really not much to say here. Obviously, I'm pretty soft for the Colts. I still think they're going to have a good year. It just won't be today. Rams by 100.
Yeah, that line, again, just has to be a West Coast team going to the Eastern time zone. You know, you hear me reference that all the time. So I think that 4 points is crazy low. I think, is that your lock of the week? Because this is my lock of the week, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any more locks of the week. I'm pretty pissed. Still pretty pissed at Minnesota for that one. But I do have 3 games that are in my tier 1, if you will, for which would be lock of the week. But what we do know is there is no lock. But now that I've only got 2 testicles after that Minnesota lost, this would be a week that I'm willing to bet the other 2.
There we go. So we all think the Rams big. JC, who's going to do it for Los Angeles?
For Los Angeles, and I'm kind of staying off this game for the most part from a fantasy standpoint. It's kind of tough to see. We didn't see a ton from Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. I still don't really know what that's going to shake out to. I don't think this is the best fantasy game. I think Nyheim Hines, as a running back to play, potentially as a flex if you're in a season-long league, I think he's going to get a ton of targets this week because Indianapolis receivers are really not in sync, and we don't really know what they're going to do as well. And I think Jonathan Taylor has a potential to go for a lot today. He's going to have to carry the load. So I think the Indianapolis running backs are going to see a lot of usage today. Otherwise, not a super fantasy-friendly matchup, but I am very excited to watch Quentin Nelson and Aaron Donald go at it all day.
Yeah, that should definitely be a 5-star matchup. I have Jonathan Taylor. The Nyheim Hines reception over, that was definitely figured in, but Jonathan Taylor wasn't. He had 7 targets last week, and the over-under is only at 2.5 receptions. So I'm with you. I think the running backs favor heavily in the Colts passing offense. So I'm taking Jonathan Taylor over 2.5 catches, especially because Damian Williams had 4 receptions last week. And then I'm also taking Henderson over. We talked about all offseason about how that could very much well be a committee. It wasn't. It was heavy Henderson. And I think with the lead the Rams are going to have, I think he gets a ton of run. Chris Carson also shredded that defense. So, again, I like Henderson over 56.5 yards for your Los Angeles Rams prop. So let's get to a game that I think a lot of people are choosing nationally as a upset special. We don't have it that way. Dallas at the Chargers. I think that's because we all not so secretly love the Chargers. We all have the Chargers covering the 3.5 point spread. What do you think about this, Marcus?
Guys, this is a team that's going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Yeah, they're in their home stadium against the Rams, also in their home stadium. It's going to be fucking awesome. Derwin James showed up and showed out in his first game back. Like I said, if this is a team that can be healthy, they can win 14, 15 games. They won 6 games more than last year just by fucking firing what's his tits. But let's just keep this simple. This is kind of comparable to like the Rams and Indy. Dallas is going to have a good season. They're going to mesh some things. They're going to probably more than likely win the East. The Chargers are just that fucking good. Chargers, the only thing I was torn on was the over-under. Just don't know how many points the Cowboys are going to get late in the game. But the Chargers are going to handle business just as they did last week when I told you they're going to go to Washington and put a thumping down.
Tons of big names in this matchup, JC. Do you have any of them representing your teams?
Yeah, a bunch. And you could probably put in an entire DFS lineup just stacking this game alone if you can find a way to afford it. I'm leaning on the Chargers side of things here. Their defense is a little bit better. We don't exactly know how efficient that offense is going to be, where the target's going to distribute with Gallup out, how much they're going to lean on their top dogs, and so on and so forth. But Jared Cook, he's in a lot of my lineups. I think that 4,000 level for tight ends is where you want to be, either between him or Noah Fant this week. Justin Herbert's my quarterback in a ton of lineups. Keenan Allen's in there. I think Eckler's worth playing, but I think you want to stick with Allen, Herbert, and Jared Cook moving forward. Those are kind of the key pillars in a lot of my lineups this week.
Yeah, so Marcus knows the Dubich or the Brister household is certainly a sucker for first touchdowns. I'm staying away from first touchdowns, but I'm getting plus money at a Jared Cook anytime touchdown. I'm getting plus 165, especially to a defense that gave up 2 tight end touchdowns last week. I don't quite like it as much as the Devontae Parker prop, but I love Jared Cook anytime touchdown. So I'm right there with JC. I think he figures big time into the offense today. And then again, I think this is going to be a shootout. And Dak threw it 58 times against that Buccaneer defense. That over under, I don't think they've adjusted yet, is only at 39.5 attempts. I think Dak has that low to mid 40 amount of attempts today. So I'm going Dak over pass attempts for my 2 props of this game. Let's move next to I think what a lot of people was looking to be a real marquee matchup heading into the season, but it doesn't appear us 4 think so. Kansas City at Baltimore, and we all have Kansas City. We might get ratioed here, guys. We seem to be on the same page quite often. Marcus, why do you think KC is going to cover 3.5?
Lamar Jackson can't throw the fucking football. And putting him aside, they're having some defensive struggles. Who thinks Travis Kelce is going to have less than 30 points today in fantasy? He should be a monster. But I think what impressed me the most for Kansas City last week was obviously the grit, the comeback. The Browns are a good team, unfortunately, but they're gonna put a thumping on this game. This game should be a 7.5 point spread. So jump all over it. If you want to pay a little bit of juice, you can buy them to -2.5, which will put you about -140. You can absolutely lock that one in. This is in my top tier. This is number 3 of my big 4, and we'll get to number 4 after we finish up this pick and pool.
So again, I was talking about big names in the Chargers Cowboys game. This has kind of one-sided big names. Are you as down as on Lamar Jackson, JC? Do you see anything coming out of that Ravens offense?
Well, I kind of love what's happening to Lamar within Baltimore. So they're going to run a hot hand approach. They have just a patchwork running game. The defense is going to be worse with Marcus Peters, so they can kind of focus on one side of the field. The other offense are going to put up a lot of points against them. So we have the potential to see Lamar almost like back in the Louisville days where he has to do everything. He's going to have to throw a ton. He's going to have to run a ton, which is great for fantasy, especially in a matchup against Kansas City. So whether he throws the ball well, he's going to have to throw it a lot, which could be very prosperous for fantasy. And it's a Sammy Watkins revenge week, who said some bad things about having to be just kind of a decoy for Tyreek Hill. So potentially Sammy Watkins here. But I know we're going to talk about Mark Andrews in a second. So I wanted to bring up one stat. In 3 career games against Kansas City, Andrews has 17 targets for 6 catches and 37 yards total. And we love playing tight ends against Kansas City, but Mark Andrews is kind of an outlier here with his ability to produce against them. So what do we think?
Man, I like it because Hooper and Njoku kind of carved up Kansas City last week. But that's a great deep stat that you ran. One of the props I was running, as you saw in the outline, was Mark Andrews over 51.5 yards, but you got me questioning that now. But my question to you is, you said Lamar's going to be throwing a lot. If it isn't Mark Andrews, it can't all be Sammy Watkins. Is there any real kind of cheap wide receiver plays that you have on the Baltimore side? Because somebody's got to get yards in this game.
Yeah, I hope it's Mark Andrews. Typically, KC's been a terrible defense against tight ends. I do think Sammy Watkins has a pretty good day. This hasn't been super on my radar just because it's not on the main slate this week. I'm just kind of curious to see how things shake out.
Yeah. Well, either way, that's a great stat. I've already locked in my bets, so I have Mark Andrews over 51.5 yards, but you have me sweating that one for sure. One that I'm not sweating is Baltimore knew that Waller was going to be the entire offense, yet they couldn't stop it. I think that same thing is going to be said for both Kelce and Tyreek. Tyreek was targeted 15 times last week, but for some reason his over is only at 6.5 receptions. I definitely think Tyreek gets 7 yards here, or 7 catches. And again, this is a Ravens defense that gave up 400 plus yards of Derek Carr. I think Patrick Mahomes just absolutely slays in this game. Going to be expensive in DFS, but if you have him on your fantasy team, like I do, I feel very, very good about that. And let's move into the final game we're going to cover. And we have a little bit of a difference here. We have Detroit at Green Bay. Green Bay giving 11 points. Everyone's taking Detroit, but me. Why am I an idiot, Marcus?
We don't have enough time today to go over that, but to quote one of my favorite media personalities, as far as this game goes, Shailene Woodley is ugly as fuck, and that's from your own Brandon Brister. It's going to be a high-scoring game. If you could take anything away from Monday night, it's going to be over 48. Niners fans are saying that they were in prevent defense and let the Lions claw back into it. Green Bay fans are going to say that they just threw that one away. All I know is you're going to have points galore. Aaron Rodgers is going to have 4 or 5 touchdowns today. We're assuming TJ Hawkinson's going to go off once again. Lions could just be one of these weird, gritty teams that don't go away, and I like double-digit lines with that.
Yeah, the double-digit line is certainly scary, but the 49ers, who don't have near as an explosive offense as Green Bay should have, was up 17 in the fourth quarter. I don't see that kind of meltdown again. That's the only reason I'm going with Green Bay, is because that should have been a 14-17 plus game on Sunday, and for Detroit, they just somehow pulled a miracle. But JC, any players here? You rolling with some of the expensive plays? You going some of the cheaper plays here? I mean, I think you can go a bunch of ways with some players in this matchup.
Yeah, so this is Monday night, so it's going to be like a showdown captain game for me. A couple of players that I'm just kind of interested in. Marquez Valdez-Scantling at 156 air yards, despite just an awful passing performance from Green Bay. So could he continue that and kind of actualize some of those yards this week? Tyrell Williams is going to be out. Quintez Cephas had 7 targets last week. Only 3 catches for 12 yards, but also a touchdown. I like to see him take a next step within that offense and see if Jared Goff can continue to show some good production. And also just watching the backs in Detroit, a lot of targets both to Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, see how they continue to move forward. So not a big money game for me, but a couple players I'm watching for sure.
Yeah, what is Cephas's value right now?
So Cephas, hold on. He's at 3,800, so a pretty cheap play. Potentially a guy you could throw in your captain spot and then pay up for some of the bigger guys, like Devontae Adams.
Exactly. I think that this is a great way to balance that out. Rodgers, again, if you look, Jimmy G threw for 331 last week. I think Rodgers eclipses over 300. His over-under is only at 279 yards. So I'm taking the over for Aaron Rodgers there. And then I had this before Tyrell Williams was out, but Hawkinson is only at 4.5. So I'm sure that's higher now. I don't have that right in front of me. But I grab Hawkinson receptions over 4.5. That's the other one I feel really, really good about, especially because Green Bay did give up quite a bit to tight ends last week, mostly to Juwan Johnson, but Troutman didn't have a poor game either. So I really like Hawkinson being able to play against that Green Bay defense. So sweet. That covers our 5 slate of the games, but of course we have some others we want to bring up. So how about we start with my upset special, Cincinnati over Chicago. Are any of you guys with me on that one? If not, why not?
Yeah, man, I'm with you as to being a fucking idiot. And actually, JC gave me wood earlier when we started this podcast saying Justin Fields is going to be getting more reps today. So Andy Dalton, everyone talks about revenge games. I think he's still going to struggle. And I'm foreseeing old Justin Fields to come in and lead his team to victory and take the reins week 2, kind of like my offseason prediction. Bears win big.
Wow.
Yeah. It's in big style. It's going to be, it's either going to be a big blowout late or game-winning 2-minute drive touchdown. Justin Fields, you are going to be the rookie of the year. I believe in you. QB1.
Unbelievable. After an impressive rookie performance, quarterback performance last week, interesting. You go with the guy with the least amount of usage. So next game we got, I have no idea why you guys want to talk about this, so I'm at least semi-interested in the Tyrod Taylor revenge game. Seems to be a revenge tour this week. What do you guys want to talk about in Houston at Cleveland?
Just real quick, guys, this is another game that's shooting for the over. I think this is a game that you could be playing a handful of players. I love Houston at plus 13, but I'm buying, I'm a pussy, so I'm going to buy them the 14.5 to really seal the flavor. But right over 48 here. Cleveland's going to throw the ball, and they're going to run the ball. They're going to move it. But Houston at least is showing the ability to put up some points in a quick fashion. So I like the over here.
Yeah, I like the over too. Again, I really do think Tyrod Taylor put on a heck of a performance. I don't think he can do it again. Are you seeing anything on the Houston side, JC, and are you hammering the Cleveland side?
Mostly hammering the Cleveland side. I don't recommend starting Tyrod Taylor this week, even though I will, just because he was so good for me last week, and it was kind of fun running a little Houston Texans stack against the Jaguars. But the Jaguars have to be awful. We know Houston's one of the worst rosters in the NFL, so now they play an actual playoff team in Cleveland. I think this game is interesting. Anthony Schwartz had a bunch of air yards last week. He had a pretty good week as well, but he's questionable. And we know Odell's out, so I think Jarvis Landry's a great play. I think Nick Chubb runs all over Houston. He's a great play this week. I have him. He's going to be in my lineup of the week as well. So I think Houston gets beat pretty bad in this one. They're finally exposed, and the fun run of week one is over.
So maybe not a hot take. I don't think Houston wins another game. I think they pull a Jacksonville. I think they lose their next 17. Could you guys get down with that?
Hey, we'll talk about that later. Just as long as Jarvis Landry gets first touchdown today, him or Kareem Hunt will be rolling.
Gotcha. The last game we're going to pick here before we wrap things up is San Francisco at Philly. Philly steamrolls Atlanta last week. Is that more about Atlanta or more about Philly?
Good question.
It's a bit about both, but this is the game that I wanted to bring up that I was talking about earlier. Big line movements. Philly's now it's only a half point as far as the spreads. The Niners are 3-point favorites on the road, but this went from 50.5 to 49, a 1.5 movement under. I really like the over here. Don't care how these points are going to come. I believe in Jalen Hurts. I've been crushing on him since they drafted him, and you guys talk shit to me every time. This is going to be the year of Marcus sticking it to everybody. Jalen Hurts, Pro Bowl year. Arizona, awesome season. Coach of the year, Cliff Kingsbury. Cardinals are going to make a run. We don't even need to talk about that game today, but take the over in this Philly game. I really like Philly plus 3.5, but I'm dead set on them hammering over 49 now.
Man, I like Philly 3.5 too. I think Jimmy G's performance last week was not true. I've been down on San Francisco. I like Philly here as well, at least to cover. I'm not sure if I can go as far as to win, but I like Philly plus 3.5 here. And it's kind of the Brandon Brister tight end special. I've talked about Jared Cook, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson. Here I like Dallas Goedert as a plus 240 anytime touchdown. Hawkinson murdered that San Francisco defense last week and got a touchdown. So you're getting almost 3.5 to 1 with Goedert anytime touchdown. I like that quite a bit. I wouldn't be doing our amazing producer Derek Black any justice if I didn't give his picks. He has one that I like quite a bit. Dalvin and Kyler to both score a touchdown. I think that is a phenomenal value at plus 220. Like I said, over 3 to 1. He also has Denver -6. JC Marcus, any comments on Denver -6?
I really love how our delightful producer put in one piece for each of our segments. Denver looks good, man. I really like what they're doing. It's going to be what a rough start for Jacksonville. The Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence tenures not going to go off to a great start. Love Denver here, and I'd really love to see Melvin Gordon put on another clinic.
God, Melvin Gordon clinic. That doesn't seem like that should go together. JC, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I like Denver -6 for sure. And I think Melvin Gordon has a good day, but I also think Javonte Williams has a touchdown today as well, kind of sticking it to Travis Etienne being drafted over him. But also, he actually out-carried Melvin Gordon last week. So I think he gets his first touchdown today. I like Noah Fant a lot in this game as well. I think Jacksonville is going to struggle a lot against a pretty good Denver defense as well. I mean, I think if Houston beat them last week, I can't imagine what Denver's going to do to them this week.
Exactly. Final play from producer Derek. He has Antonio Brown at 6,400 as his DFS must start. Are you on top of that, JC?
I don't know. So he plays on a different site than I do. So I don't look at the values as much on FanDuel. So I don't know. But yeah, Antonio Brown should be fine. I think Mike Evans bounces back this week too.
I mean, I would just play anyone against Atlanta. I mean, they are just horrible. So I would load up on Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. Sweet, guys. So that's it. Anything else from the crew? I need to take off these sunglasses because it's not very bright in this room.
No, we are going to go ahead and put this in writing form so you don't have to find out where we're talking about everything. So you can just read what we are talking about. And go Steelers.
Go Steelers. Cheers, boys.